This week on the RC Shop, we build new fenders for the Grinch project, and Frank gets back to work on the Samurai project. You're not going to want to miss any of it. Last time we took care of a hood clearance issue we had with the Gremlin build by adding a cowl to the hood. This episode we're going to continue the bodywork, first by removing all these mounting tabs inside the body. Should be very straightforward. I think I'll start with a cutoff wheel and then move on to a sanding wheel and then finish by hand. Let's get started. That actually went easier than I expected. Just had to take my time, make sure not to nick any of the window seals. I did all the sanding with coarse grit paper because I'm not going to have to do any finishing sanding. In the end, there's going to be a headliner that covers it all. Now, let me clean up this mess and we'll get to body filling the holes in the roof. This body was originally attached with screws through holes in the roof, hence all the mounting tabs we just removed. There was also a spoiler that we ditched that also have mounting holes. We're not going to use any of these holes, so we need to fill them. I'll start by gluing in some styrene backing plates that'll give the body filler a surface to adhere to. And again, these are going to be covered with a headliner in the end. Now, let's get filling. And there you go, a nice smooth roof line. And with the backing plates, we don't have to worry about the body filler cracking or falling out. Before we get to the fender work, there's one more thing I'd like to do. The body has side markers painted on it, but they don't work. And with this ultra scale build, that's not going to cut it. I've got some spare side markers that I think we can change that with. There's rear markers also, but I think I'm going to wait on those until I've corrected the rear fender wells. But let's go ahead and get started on the front ones with some measuring. Just need to transfer those measurements to the body. I don't have a center punch, but this all should work to mark the drilling location. For the safety of the body, I'm using a pin vise to create the starter hole. With the starter holes finished, I now feel confident to move to a power drill. Now the side marker tabs pop right into the holes I made, and I can outline the lens with a pen. I've used some tape as a better guide and opened up the holes with a round file. It takes a little bit of time, but my #1 goal is not to damage this body because it is not replaceable. The finished product turned out not too bad, still needs a little cleanup, but the lens mount's nice and flush. Now it's time to get to what's probably the most difficult part of the bodywork for this build, and that's reshaping the fenders. The front wheel opening is too small for our tires, and the back wheel opening is too big and mislocated. This is going to take some work to correct. The first step is to dive in and remove those original fender flares. We're going to need a blank canvas to work from. And well, there you go, a nice blank canvas for us to work from. Perfect for us to reshape the opening and create our own flares. But that's gonna have to wait for a quick commercial break so we can keep the lights on. But when we get back, we're gonna completely reshape this fender. We've got the blank canvas we need to work from, but we need to figure out how to reshape the new opening and fender flare. I'm going to start with the body on the chassis and compress the suspension to see just where the fenders rub. It's very obvious the front of the tire is going to rub without even any steering input. And with the steering locked, we'll also get rub in the back. So what I'll do is take some measurements and send those over to the fab shop and have them make up some new flares, and then I can mold those into the fenders. It didn't take them any time at all to send over the new fender flares. Now I just need to attach them to the fenders. Which I do, first adding a backing plate like before, and then glue the bottom points in place. I use a little heat to help mold the fender flare into shape. And while it's still warm and malleable, I'll spot glue the top in place, making sure to hold it tight against the fender. And I'll use a liberal amount of CA around the rest of the fender flare, allowing it to bleed in behind. And again, a tight squeeze against the fender and a couple hits of accelerator, and we've got something to work with. With the fender flares in place, now it's just a matter of doing the bodywork, so let's get to it. Next is a lot of sanding and filling, and sanding and filling, and sanding and filling, and I'll save you guys from that torture. Here's the finished product. Molded pretty well into the fender. The idea is to work at it slowly and feather it into the fender until it appears like it was always there. But that's only half the job. Let's go ahead and finish it up. After spot filling and sanding the inside of the arch, I gave it a coat of primer, and now we can take a look at how it turned out. I think it's pretty close, but the final test is to put the body back on the chassis and see if we achieved the clearance we need. And looks good to me. I also like the shape of our flares better. That's 1 fender down, 3 to go, but I'll take care of those off camera in between episodes. They're going to be done exactly the same. But if you want to keep up with that off camera work, go ahead and check out our Instagram account down in the description. Now it's time for Frank to get back to work on the Samurai project. But first, we got to take a really quick break. I think this is an oldie but a goodie. Don't go anywhere.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the Information Purification Directive. We have created for the first time in all history a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from pests of any contradictory true thought. Our unification of thoughts is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people with one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
This month, TandemCTelevision introduced their Patreon page, and you will see why 2019 won't be like 2019. We're still overloaded here in the shop, so I'm going to have Frank go ahead and continue working on the Samurai project. Yes, Frank, we see you. Frank did good work last time, but as you see here, we're having to prop it up on jack stands, and that's due to the lack of a 4-link setup. So I got Frank a couple different link materials he can use, both with the same OD, but with different IDs. They can either be tapped or used as spacers. I was even nice enough to tap one of them for him and thread in a link in. Now it's up to him to figure out the lengths he's going to need and finish the rest. You up to the task, Frank? I'll take that as a thumbs up. All right, let's go ahead and get into the segment of the show that we all know and love. What happened, Frank? You broke the tap? You know that's the only tap we had. Well, at least you got 2.5 links done, only 5.5 more to go. Here you go. See about getting the drive shafts in, and use these links for now, but I'm going to need them back because I'm using those for the 6x6 we're building in the behind the scenes series. So he broke the only M4 tap we had here in the shop, but that's okay. I ordered up a 5-pack more, and he went ahead and used some loaner links in the meantime. And his math looks good, just needs some shock adjustments. Also, if you didn't notice, the drive shaft I provided him for the front was a little too long. We could cut it down to make it fit, but I'd rather not because I need that drive shaft for a 6x6 build we're doing in the behind the scenes series. I'll order up a new shorter one. We were able to get a large percentage of the bodywork done on the Gremlin build, and the Samurai project is getting close. We're gonna go ahead and get back to work in the garage, and we'll see you guys next time. Later.